So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist. Hey, thanks for watching our live stream. I'm the host, David Krayden. In the meantime, have a look at some of these clips and take the opportunity, please, to like this broadcast, ring the bell, or subscribe.
And we're stepping up in every way we can because we know that Russia must win this war. That Ukraine must win this war.
But freedom is something you earn every day.
I don't know that the government currently has fiscal anchors.
Your home is your castle. We're calling on the government to introduce and immediately pass the Stand on Guard law.
But we also need to resolve to resist. Thanks for watching. We're back again. Here it is, 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 o'clock Pacific Time at the Edgewood site of the Universal Ostrich Farms, plural. You know, it's funny. I see so many media agencies who don't know this story calling it the Universal Ostrich Farm because they haven't even bothered to look it up on the internet. It's plural. Drives me crazy. You know, they talk about accuracy in journalism, but that's the last thing they ever strive for. So I want to show you this video, then we'll talk about, and Katie, yes, will be on. We're just waiting for her to go from one meeting to the next. That's how it always is. I mean, it's just incredible what she's going through right now. But here's something your mom put together last night. I mean, look at that. These are little kids who have been drawn in to compassion for these poor birds who are being killed for nothing other than government policy. It's not because they're unhealthy, you know, and even if they were, you know what the government's doing here? And I have to say this. Some people might find this controversial, but I have to say this. The government is further preparing us for further euthanization in this country. This is what this is all about. In addition to invading private property, in violating property rights, violating livestock, stealing livestock, destroying livelihood. This is all about preparing Canadians for further advancements in our medical assistance in dying legislation, which is euthanasia, which is all about so-called compassionate killing. There's been nothing compassionate about anything going on here. And if there's killing, God forbid, it won't be compassionate. It'll be by death squads that not only are prepared for it, but seem to relish it. They have been preparing for a slaughter since they got there, and even the Supreme Court's injunction has meant nothing to them. I want to go to this. No, sorry. I want to show you this first because this was incredible. Here we go.
All you need is love.
Yeah, and you'll have to excuse me for a minute. I have to send this link to Katie. Her phone isn't working. This is how things work sometimes, and you have to live with it. So yeah, sending you the link right now. Send you. There we go. Yeah, and this is the way things go sometimes. You gotta. Yeah, bear with us for a minute here, folks. It's yeah. Sometimes you've got to go with the flow. So anyway, I wanted to show you this incredible. Yeah, it's incredible stuff here. Okay, we don't have to listen to any more Pierre right now. So I see Katie's on the scene here. Okay, Katie, thanks for joining. Were you having trouble with your phone this morning? Because I sent the link to your phone, but
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't have the
it's
link,
okay.
so thank you for sending it to me again.
I'm not surprised anything is going on right now with you. So thank you for finding 5 minutes to spend on the show this morning. Because
Of course.
I was trying to get in contact with you last night. It's midnight here. You're still on a Zoom call, and I'm saying, oh my God,
Yeah,
that poor
yeah.
woman. You're just constantly being taxed by everybody around you. If not the media, like idiots like me, it's the lawyers and it's the everybody
No,
else. So
you know,
I don't
we've
know. I don't know how you're holding up. I really don't know how you're holding up because it's incredible. You look as fresh as beautiful than ever. So it's
Thanks.
fantastic.
Well, we do have a couple of things that are quite pertinent and need to be addressed. I think here is
Yes,
that
please do.
ever since we've had the Canadian Food Inspection Agency put a task force onto our social media for Universal Ostrich, we're seeing a heightened level of misinformation and discrediting material for our farm, which is taking away from the vision of what we're actually fighting for. They want to bring up some people that the farm owes money to. Well, absolutely. This was never a hidden fact. There's people who didn't want their ostriches anymore. And instead of the farm saying, okay, well, no, we don't want them, we said, well, we'll buy them back, but we can't pay you right now. We're putting together these antibody deals. And if you're willing to wait, we'll take the ostriches back. So, CTV and mainstream media love to pull all this stuff up and discredit the mission and the vision of everything that we're fighting for all Canadian farmers across Canada. And not even that, then there's just so much stuff online that is just really deviating the focus and creating a distraction rather than supporting the journey and helping us. So there's a lot of that stuff out there. I'm going to remain, as I always have been, very steadfast in my position of if you have any questions and you think, reach out to us directly. But we are honest, hardworking, and truthful farmers that have been trying to do the right thing here in Canada for many years. Love our animals very much. Yes, did we sell meat years ago? We sure did. Did we move into an antibody program after COVID-19? Yes, we did. And now we are not involved with the meat of the animals. It's been a long pioneering project with the animals, trying to figure out what we could do with them and how we could better humanity. And this has been the best case scenario because we don't have to hurt our animals in the process. There is not spike proteins given to our animals. This is another big one. Spike proteins nothing to do with spike proteins. Again, if you want the most accurate information, you need to contact us directly at the farm. I think what we've all really probably become aware of over the many years is the mainstream media loves to spin things and pull us away from the most important messaging, which lies behind mainstream media. So there's a lot of that stuff. I want to take a position. I've been a little bit kind. I think we are kind people. And with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, I keep saying the Canadian Food Inspection Agency holds a very important role in Canada. But after talking to now multiple farmers that this same situation has happened to in the past, we're talking about all the way far back as 2007. I just did an interview with a farmer that this very same thing happened to them. And it was based off a suspicion of tuberculosis outbreak on their farm. They had over 600 and something head of cattle. They had sheep, they had goats, they had pigs, they had chickens. They came in based off suspicion and off their own negligence. They killed everything this beautiful older farm had, to find out in the end that they tested after everything was dead and there was no tuberculosis. So I asked her a very important question, and I said, could, looking back and where we are now, if the Canadian Food Inspection Agency started to do the right thing, could you trust this organization again? And she said, in her words, we're a lot more aggressive, but absolutely not. So it became very clear to me after this, about talking to 2 or 3 farmers, that the Canadian Food Inspection Agency needs to be dismantled. It is an organization that has lost the trust of Canadians. There is no repairing that eroded trust with this organization. It needs to be dismantled. And we as Canadians and within our government structure need to rebuild this organization back up from the ground up. And we need to have a new vision. We need to have a new mission. And it needs a brand new face for Canadians that will give us hope that we'll be protected, not attacked, like Canadian Food Inspection Agency continues to overuse their authority, overuse their excessive freedom that they've been given, and they have zero accountability for their actions.
Interesting to me, you would be comparing them to out of control agencies, because just the other day, I compared the CFIA to what's happening in the United States with out of control security agencies. The FBI is out of control. CIA has been out of control for years. They've got overlapping security agencies with the ATF, and even the IRS now goes door to door with a gun, threatening people who haven't paid their taxes. And this is exactly what I've said about the CFIA. It's an out of control bureaucracy that defines the law. It doesn't follow the rule of law. It's literally done that. And your mom was saying this last night in a video, which I played earlier this morning, is that these people came here anticipating the Supreme Court to give them the nod. So when the Supreme Court said, wait, they kept preparing to kill.
This is the biggest problem, is the arrogance that this organization that is showing, and the complete arrogance just to even keep preparing like they know the outcome already. If I was the Supreme Court of Canada, I would be really upset to basically have an organization that is overstepping what that interim stay that we got. That interim stay protected us, and it should be protecting the animals that have been in our care for decades with the love that we've poured into this farm. And instead, they have taken that interim stay as it doesn't mean anything to them. Again, they have no accountability. They can do whatever they want. And they've already prepared 21, from what I could count, of our big, beautiful, healthy babies are being traumatized, terrorized, and being put through a situation that they should never have had to go through. And they're sitting in a kill pen out there of hay bales that your taxpayer, all of our taxpayer dollars have bought. And they're waiting for that decision from Supreme Court to pull a trigger. And the minute that they pull a trigger, if it's not in our favor, they're ready to pull their trigger. And that is absolutely wrong. Are we not pro-life? Are we not here to protect life? Canadian Food Inspection Agency, are we not here to protect Canadians, protect our farmers? But all that this shows is they're gun happy, they're trigger happy. That they are an organization of killers. They want to kill. They don't have anything in there that actually defends life and wants to preserve life at all. So it's the complete arrogance of the Canadian Food Inspection Agency to be so disrespectful to the court process and to the Supreme Court of Canada, to keep preparing and not even keep preparing with their methodology of what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, the hay bales, prepare the hay bales. They're moving our animals. So those animals are not their animals. Those animals are our animals. How dare they start to move our animals and get them set up to be killed? These animals have went through enough. They've been stripped away from the hands that they trust. They are already traumatized all night. It looks like a football field stadium out there. They're not resting. They're inhumanely being handled. Their feed is not the same. Their food structure is not the same. Their level of care is not the same. They are not getting called by their names, and they're not getting touched every day and loved. They're getting poked and prodded by Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and who's just flexing their muscles out there, and in a complete act of a bullish tactic and punishment. They're just punishing us for speaking up. They're punishing us for exposing them. And I have no problem continuing to do so because they deserve it. And I think it's about time all Canadians are aware of their failed audits, about that they can't follow their own protocol. They don't even know how. Their PPE is worn sometimes, no PPE in others. They don't follow their own quarantine protocols. They do not disinfect their vehicles. They are so out of control that they need to be dismantled. And this organization needs to be rebuilt from the ground up, with Canadians' voices being heard on what we expect that organization to do for Canadian farmers.
Well, I think that's entirely accurate. You're describing an organization as basically bankrupt. It doesn't do its job. You've demonstrated that from day one. I think if anything comes out of this horrible story with what they have done to you over the last 8 months, is that the CFIA does, as you said, does not follow its own protocols.
No.
Because they have utterly failed to reinforce what they're talking about. These are people who did not put on their hazmat costumes for days after they arrived. They don't seem to know basic information about how to care for animals. And if you look at their website, I looked at their website today for the first time in days. I looked them up when this whole thing began, because as I shared with you, I had no experience with the CFIA. I had no idea what they were really doing. I really thought they came around and inspected the food on your plate. I had no idea that they had this government mandate to literally come into your farm, come into your house, destroy anything that they deem to be dangerous to public health. But if you look at their website, it's all about protecting the health of animals. Yeah. And I'm thinking, these people are Orwellian. All they do well is prepare to kill. And God help us if they ever, I don't want to see these people in action, but they sound like a death squad as far as I'm concerned. I think that's the only thing they do well is shooting animals. And God help us, this government could turn them on us in the future if we start saying the wrong thing. If we start agreeing with the wrong narrative, then
absolutely.
Well, I'm sorry,
another thing that they have in their own mandate and their own policy, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency exempts animals with special rare genetics and that are valuable. So this has been another head scratcher, and we haven't really talked about this too much, but the importance of that. So how valuable are avian flu resistant animals? I mean, they're really valuable. And I think we're overlooking that. There was an exemption package that was given to us on January 2nd. We have an email from Canadian Food Inspection Agency stating that we qualify for special rare genetics within our herd and that we could be exempt. Now, when we followed through with that, because we needed to test them just to show their DNA and their genetics and show their lineage, that they between January 2nd and January 10th, something happened that now we didn't qualify. We lost that, right? And on January 10th, they said, sorry, you don't qualify for special rare genetics because we are understaffed and we're not able to perform these tests. So these ostriches are part of a scientific community and a research program that hold extremely valuable place in special rare and genetics, that they have an immunity. They have a firewall that's been built up to the avian influenza and antibodies to help on a global scale, which the Trump administration has been really good at identifying. And why would we be snuffing out that opportunity from the world or shielding it from the world, especially with the collaboration offer from the FDA and the NIH and them willing to test our animals? It's, we have migratory birds, and the migratory birds are still flying around. There's a lot of things that just don't balance out, make common sense. So as long as there's migratory birds flying around, we're going to have avian influenza. You don't kill the survivors that are doing well from that, because our firewall here protects us from the migratory birds flying around. And the minute you dispose of all of this life and the years that these animals have had on the planet to fight off environmental challenges for over 35 years, you can never duplicate that in a new immune system in a new animal. So we would just be starting from ground zero. These animals are still going to be exposed to migratory birds, and we're going to just go through this process again and again and again. And this could all be solved by testing the animals.
Well, it sounds to me like what you're describing there is like almost like a district attorney or crown attorney in Canada who decides at the beginning what the outcome of his or her case is going to be, and then puts the facts in order to back up that assumption. Because as I looked at the history of your case, and obviously, we've been talking since May the 2nd, so it's been 5 months since we first talked about this. I've had a chance to look at the case in terms of what the government has done. And all they've done is nothing except say, sorry, our mind is made up. Yeah. We won't change. We won't move, because that's the policy. And I was thinking the other day about what does that really mean when you say that's the policy? And policy, it doesn't matter if science refutes it. It doesn't matter whether the facts refute. It doesn't matter whether reality refutes it. No. It's the policy. So they have a stamp out policy, which thankfully the mainstream media is finally saying doesn't come from Canada, comes from the United Nations, the World Health Organization. That's where it's coming from. So why doesn't Canada have its own policy on these things? Are we completely in the control of globalist organizations like the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the WEF, and others? Because there's no the stamp out policy makes no sense. And I had a veterinarian clip on the other day, which I shared with you, who's saying the same thing. He's saying, this is idiocy. Just saying, okay, we found one bird, possibly with H1N1 last December. So we wipe everything else out. Sounds to me like they're just trying to wipe out birds.
Oh, they're wiping out all our animals. They're wiping out all our animals. Remember, again, for the people who haven't been listening and haven't heard the full story, is that Canadian Food Inspection Agency has not been on site since February 26th. So if we had such a virulent threat and we were such a threat to public health and safety, Canadian Food Inspection Agency wasn't on our farm since February 26th on. This is until now. So you tell me where that educated response is and the proper outbreak responses with environmental, say, soil samples, water samples to see if there's actually a risk within our area and exposure. They haven't tested these animals as a real scientist would to do a collaborative case study to make sure that these animals are healthy or do they have live virus. There have been no tests on these living animals out here whom we are fighting for. Every breath we take, we are fighting for their breath to continue. And we are seeing science be put to the wayside and speculation be the new leader. We are seeing that discovery doesn't matter. Destruction is more primitive, that this is how we should handle things. And we are losing our farmers across Canada. We are losing our genetic diversity, biodiversity, and we are losing our farmers, which means we are losing our food. The hardworking Canadians that have dedicated their generations of life, grandfathered farms and nutritional food supply. We are losing these hardworking farmers because nobody wants to continue to go through the complete loss of all of their animals and have to see what we have even had to see or even be handled and treated with the mistreatment of this organization that treats you like complete garbage. They have no empathy. They talk to you like you are nobody. They drown you in paperwork so that you have no way of knowing where you began and where you end. And then they just confuse you so much, and then they offer you some little bit of compensation, and then they go to bed at night. This is the first time the Canadian Food Inspection Agency in many of these cases has had to show up somewhere. So just because we have them under the microscope, many cases, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, they don't even show up for the killing. It is a hired third-party contractor that comes onto somebody's home, kills these animals, and then Canadian Food Inspection Agency just sits behind their desk signing death sheets, signing death sentences, and they don't have any idea where they are, what they're doing, and we need to stop that.
Yeah, wanted to touch on one item. You talked about the misinformation circulating about that, and believe me, I spend a couple of hours every night after midnight going after people who are spreading absolute lies about you and the farm, because we've talked about these things, and it amazes me how people get distracted about what's the issue here. And the same thing happened the other day. Do you have to get off or? Okay. The same thing happened the other day.
I tried to do an interview and there's things that were happening all around me, and I apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're friends. But when I was looking at that story the other day, and I don't want to go through it. I know some neighbor of yours allegedly was attacked by somebody who looked just like an Antifa member. I'm thinking it's the Freedom Convoy all over again, because, and I know, and I'm glad we talked that morning, because you were able to mention that in several interviews that day. That
we were heartbroken
the same
about the situation. Like that should have never happened. Yeah.
And we're not saying this, whether or not, I don't know how this happened or what happened to her. That's up to the RCMP. But if it did happen, you people were probably, obviously, not responsible, because why would any protester on the farm do this? Mm-hmm. Except if he or she was mentally deranged. And this is Antifa at work to discredit the work you're doing. And the same thing happened, because I was at the Freedom Convoy, and every other week there was a crazy allegation about this Freedom Convoy member did this. This Freedom Convoy member tried to set an apartment complex on fire. Freedom Convoy member was dancing on the tomb of the unknown soldier. And of course, at the time we said, well, there's no evidence that they were associated with the Freedom Convoy protest. And as it turned out, as the months unveiled, none of the people involved in those incidents had anything to do with the Freedom Convoy. They were all people who were either just using the event to act crazy,
Well,
or they were deliberate plants from the far left and Antifa. And this is exactly what I think is happening here, because it's a distraction.
10 months. And you think 10 months? We've been
Right.
doing this for 10 months. And I mean, that was the day of the most heightened moment. We had drone footage that went over showing the almost 40 police vehicles coming down the highway and then parking. And it's just, it was absolutely insane to watch. And then everybody's emotions were heightened. Everybody is acting, we're nervous. Nobody knew what was going to happen. And then that happened. So it was really, all the eyes were on the farm that day when that happened. So it was, the timing was a little bit suspicious as well, because it did. I mean, it took, but we handled it amazingly. I really do believe we did. We had negotiations going at the front, police negotiations, and we stopped everything. And we put everything that we were dealing with aside and brought RCMP in to assist and help immediately. And that, because that is not who we are. And we are here to protect life, not to hurt people. And we've been very clear with that messaging since day one. But, you know, our community as well, for as many people here that are fantastic, we've had a really big group of, we actually have an Edgewood hate group. And that Edgewood hate group has been after us for months. They've been threatening us. They have a sniper club. They have somebody on their hate club saying that they were the sniper that killed our ostrich. They have threatened that they're going to burn us out and burn our cars down. And then we had fires here, but they looked at the supporters first. They didn't look at this hate group. And we've been to the RCMP about this hate group. We've contacted the hate group. We've reported it to Facebook and nothing. So, you know, we've had all of this happening and we've handled it really well with respect and dignity. We don't get involved in that stuff because it just deviates. It pulls us away from our messaging. And if there's always going to be people who don't like what you're doing, and that's fine. But this Edgewood hate group is a serious group because we did have a fire. They did threaten to burn us out. Then there was this person who acted irrationally at our neighbor's house. Did they plan that with our supporter? Maybe they planned that. I don't know. I don't want to discredit Lois at all, but she's part of that hate group. So were they trying to discredit our mission and everything that we're fighting for? I don't know. All I do know is our supporters for 10 months have supported the store here, been kind, that if there's been a local in trouble or someone needed a ride or anything like that, everybody's always pitched in. We've always invited our whole community to come here and have a coffee with us in the field with the tents that we have set up, or a dinner if we have a dinner, or burgers or hot dogs or something. We've been nothing but kind and encouraging everybody to come together. So it was a lot to take in. But again, we were heartbroken about the incident because we don't stand for violence. And we've kept that messaging very clear since day one.
Well, no, of course you are. And it's just irrational to think that any supporter would do that. For what cause? For what effect? Except to discredit the organization. So, as I said, you know, as soon as I heard that, I said, I've got to say something about this because it sounds to me exactly what happened at the Freedom Convoy. And Tamara Leach, by the way, has described you as the second Freedom Convoy. Yeah. And because I was talking to Tamara, and I hope to have the show this weekend. She, of course, is coming out next week to Ottawa for sentencing.
I know, and we stand right behind her. She's the most beautiful, strong woman. And I look at her with just such admiration and respect for what she's had to go through and what she continues to have to go through with our justice system. When she just was instrumental in opening up, giving Canadians hope again. I remember laying in bed and watching all the videos and being in tears every night and watching and going, this is Canada pouring in their love and support for one another, seeing Canadian flags with children and families. And it was the most beautiful display to watch. And then to see it, you know, be taken down they're attacking, like I said, they did this to the truckers. They did this to our healthcare workers. And now they're coming after farmers. So if we haven't learned from both of those, about how we should be handling this situation, then we are in for a world of disaster, because this is a precedence and they're setting the dangerous precedence, not us. And that is when you stand up so firmly for something you believe in and you use your voice, you're going to get punished. They're also setting a dangerous precedence for our children. And that if you set a dangerous precedence, that natural immunity doesn't exist. And if you set up, it's a dangerous precedence teaching our children that antibodies don't exist. And it's a dangerous precedence teaching our children that that their own bodies aren't capable of being a strong machine if they take care of it. And if they nourish themselves and they're active, that their bodies will do a lot of the work for them. And that's how we've existed on this earth for millions of years.
And that's how we will continue to exist without big pharma getting in the way. But that's wanted to ask you, because I know I just got an email from Ezra Levant, my old friend. I've known Ezra for over 20 years. And of course, he's coming there with Rebel News. Andrea Humphrey has been with you, and they've done a tremendous job. And I commend the job, a courageous job, because very other media have done what they've done. And Ezra's arriving. Are you optimistic this afternoon? Because I was saying to a couple of people today, when governments, bureaucrats, or judges want to release bad news, they tend to do it on a Friday afternoon when they still think the media is asleep, which is, of course, total nonsense today.
It happened January 10th, right? It was the end of the day, and that's when we got our initial call order. At the very end of the day, and right stamped on that initial call order said, subject to no appeal process. So they right away stripped us of our legal due diligence, what we were able to do, our legal process right away, and saying that we couldn't appeal, which we went on to appeal. And we've been here now for 10 months, but they tried to strip us away from that on January 10th at the end of the day on a Friday.
Yes. Are you apprehensive you might get word? Well, I don't want to say apprehensive, because it could be good news, could be bad news. But are you anticipating possibly some action this afternoon from the Supreme Court?
We anticipate action every day. We try to go to bed and get a lot of rest, because you never know what the day is going to hold. We are standing strong in faith. God has crept us up to the edge multiple times and pushed us and just to test how strong our faith is. And we just peek over the edge. And then as we peek over the edge and he just wonders if we're going to still hold on to faith, and we do, he just grants us another miracle. And I think that's where we're at today. We're right at the edge. We're just peeking over, but our faith is stronger than ever, that God is good and he is more powerful than all of us. He has seen us through some of the most trying times in the last 10 months. He is still protecting the birds out there. And we have garnered such incredible international support across the world. Thank you to all of you. And that is what's getting us by every day. But faith is what holds strong today with all of the supporters, our family. My dad has been having some episodes, being a paraplegic in the house. We didn't know if he'd have to go out by ambulance last night. And again, it's just a test to our unwavering faith, commitment to God, to what we believe in. And we're just going to stand strong and resilient like the ostriches that are out there and have been out there for over 35 years.
I don't mind sharing this with my audience today, but I gave you advice at the very beginning of this, when the CFIA invaded your farm. I said, if push came to shove, you should offer passive resistance. Because I make no bones about the fact that I'm on your side. I'm not objective about this any more than journalists in the Second World War were objective about whether or not Adolf Hitler should win the Second World War. We were all united about the fact that Hitler had to be defeated, and fascism and Nazism had to be defeated. And that was a very genuine stronghold of journalists at that time. So I make no bones about the fact that I'm on your side. I've fought for your side. I'm doing everything possible that you win this battle.
I know.
And I don't pretend to be somehow in the middle of this. I don't think there is a middle. I think the mushy middle in this is totalitarianism on the left taking over our basic freedoms. And I'm including Universal Ostrich Farms and what you're doing as part of our battle against totalitarian tyranny in this country. And I think any journalist worth his or her salt has to recognize that this is about freedom versus slavery. And that's all it comes down to. So if it comes down against you this afternoon, or they're not going to come if you get by Friday, let's say this, it's not going to come till Monday because nobody works in the government on the weekend. So if you get through Friday and there's nothing, but if the Supreme Court comes down against you, could you possibly tell the supporters to offer passive resistance? You think that's worth it?
Just got. I know we're all prepared in our own way for how we're going to act in this situation. Each one of us, I can't speak for each one supporter out there and how they're going to act, how emotionally this is going to be for them. I just think, it's a hard question. I don't want to say anything because I'm going to speak for myself and how I will act. And I know that I have an undertaking on me. My mom has an undertaking. So we're going to be very careful, obviously, for where, we can't go to that side. We can't, or we are going straight to jail. But this is going to be emotional for everybody. I'm going to just keep focusing, David, on a win. We're going to get that miracle today. God is good. And we have a couple irons on the fire with our lawyer that are really amazing. And we're just going to have to leave this up to God and how this is going to play out and how people will react. But the world is watching. The world's continuing to watch. And there's been different people from across the world being affected by this in different ways. And they're all responding in different ways. So we'll just leave that up to I'm just faith today. We're going to have a good answer.
Well, that's probably the toughest question I asked you today, and I probably shouldn't have asked it, but
yeah,
we have to know how things are going to turn out, and
it's going to go one of two ways. And I'm just gonna. The world is watching, and we've been here for 10 months, and we have just about fell over the edge so many times, and we get our miracles.
I can tell you this, Katie, if the world is watching, but if the world watches Canada act like a clown, like a fool, it's going to affect everything in this country. So,
well, we've already made a difference, and that's what I'm so proud of. Honestly, these ostriches have already made a difference. They're beacons of hope for so many across the world because we can see ourselves in them. They're quarantined, they're isolated, they're silenced, they're not being heard, they're being suppressed and pushed to the and we are all connected to these crazy animals in some way. We're going to continue to protect them, and if the worst case scenario should play out on the farm, these animals will still change Canadian history, and we will see. I will have the utmost hope that we will see the complete dismantling of the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and all of those in charge will lose their jobs. And this is the last straw. This is the last stand for Canadians to have trust and repair that trust within an organization like this. But at the end of the day, we're at the point where this organization needs to be dismantled. These people need to lose their jobs, and we need to build from the ground up, restoring the faith back in Canadians that an organization with such power can actually protect us, not attack us. And I think that's very important. This organization is allowed to attack us and treat us like we are absolutely have no value at all, that life has no value for decades. The stamping of policy has been in effect for 21 years. 21 years. And
21 years.
It's time. It's time that we give that an overhaul. It's time we take Canada back, our Canadian sovereignty, where we have sold that out a while ago, and we need to take that back with these non-elected governing bodies that have been in power for the last 7 years. The World Animal Health Organization, the World Health Organization, One Health Agenda, the UN, and it isn't our federal, provincial, or municipal governments anymore that are making the decisions for Canadians. We have to understand that. And once we can wrap our head around that, and we can start to repair the trust in Canadians and rebuild our Canadian sovereignty back, we'll see a better Canada. But right now, we have a lot of work to do.
Okay, thank you so much, Katie, for that. It's always edifying and fantastic to talk to you.
And it's Miracle Friday. It's Miracle Friday.
Yeah, I know. And I'll be back again later, hopefully either with Viva Fry or Ezra Levant. We're planning something later in the day. And thank you for taking time out this morning and your very busy schedule to talk to me. And it's always appreciated. We love you so much.
Oh, love you so much too. And thank you everybody for staying with us along this really big, crazy journey. Pour in your prayers today. Prayers, prayers, prayers. Have a collective prayer circle. Call your friends. Have prayer. Send prayer to Universal Ostrich Farm and envision the biggest dome of beautiful over the ostriches of light, of protection. And let's get through this together and build a better Canada.
Okay. God bless, Katie.
Bye.
We'll see you soon. That was, of course, Katie Pasitney, the chief spokeswoman. Well, there's only one spokeswoman for the farm. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. In fact, I have to put my glasses on to read it. But here we go. Yes, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency ordered the destruction of sheep in Ontario in 2012 as part of a scrappy eradication program, leading to a highly publicized case involving a rare Shropshire sheep flock. Although the original sheep that tested positive for scrappy came from an Albertan farm in 2007, the CFIA ordered the destruction of 41 sheep from an Ontario farm due to a presumptive genetic link. The sheep disappeared before the scheduled slaughter, were found months later, and were then killed and tested by the CFIA, who found, get this, here's the kicker, who found no evidence of scrappy, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in the flock. That's incredible, folks. This is what the CFIA is all about. Killing your animals. They are a death squad and nothing else. They have no science. They have nothing else except the means to kill your animals. And sooner or later, they'll be after your dog or cat. You think I'm making that up? No. They don't give a damn. Thanks for watching today, folks. We might be back later with Ezra Levant and Viva Fry and possibly Drea Humphrey. We're going to keep going until we have to stop. Bye for now.